out of mind like all the time. There's nothing else that feels like it's meant for me, but I've got a sweet escape. Under bright light, illuminate my face. Under bright light, it's shining down on us. Under bright light, illuminate your face. Under bright light, that's when I come alive. Baby, take me higher. I wanna see the whole sky. See the galaxy's reflection in your eyes. There's nothing that compares to this energy. I've got a sweet escape. Under bright light, illuminate my face. Under bright light, it's shining down on us. Under bright light, illuminate your face. Under bright light, illuminate your
Hello everybody, welcome to the Trackilicious GT3 GT4 Mixed Championship of Summer 2022. I'm your host tonight, Mr. Reed Aldred, and seems like we have kicked quali off a little early. Tonight we have a 60-minute race for you here at Barcelona. Round 4. Qualifying just underway now. As get some sound in here. As the first minute has already passed. So, yeah. We have 4 different qualifying slots. So, it's a 20-minute qualifying. The first minute is for setup changes only, so nobody was on the track. And then at the 19-minute mark, the GT4 split 2 drivers will come out. They'll have about 6 minutes to set a good lap. At the 13-minute mark, you'll have the GT4 split 1 drivers come out. They'll have 6 minutes to set a lap, and then from 7 minutes to 0, you'll have all of the GT3 drivers out on track to set a lap. So as long as you pass the line before the next time slot comes out, you can finish your lap up. We have 60 minutes here, which should be interesting. We had an Enduro here like 2 months ago now, just over a month, something around there. As we have Matthew Haight, the first GT4 on the track. As you should see these drivers start to space them out a little bit as they start the first flyers. So Matthew Haight comes around the final chicane and is going to make his way around this fast right-hander to start the first flyer of the session. And the 444 car, who is that? That is Alejandro Plagarin. must have not been, or must have been on track when it wasn't his time to go out on track. We'll see Matthew Haight going around Elf. The Cone Clippers racing 323 Camaro. Behind him, you got the 222 car of Adam Delbecchi. His teammate behind him. And then we got the 9 car of Gabe Carnes. As we will jump back on board with Matthew Haight. Makes way around that fast right-hander and down this short straight. Hope everyone is having a fantastic Thursday evening. So we're in the final stages of the week. What better way to finish off a Thursday than to have some juicy multi-class racing, as Matthew Haight's going to overshoot the final chicane. And he's going to mess up his teammate a little bit. Very unfortunate. So, Adam Delbecchi's going to top the charts with a 157.4, with Matthew Haight about 2 seconds slower with a 159.542, but quickly gets dethroned by Jack Thompson with Hewitt Racing Development in that 56 Aston Martin with a 156.192. P2 so far, you got Andy Oak, Ricky Scott in P3, and Adam Pulaski. P5, you got Rogero Selaghini in P7, Daniel Versosa in 8, Hayden Gibor in 9. And that's all for now, as we got Gabe Carnes should be coming across the line soon. No, they actually just started their flyer, never mind. As we have the 222 car of Delbecchi still going at it. Currently 4/10 up on their Delta. Won't move them up positions, but it'll improve their time. Let's see if they're able to increase it more. They need about... yeah, they need about 8/10 to be able to improve and bring them up to P3. As we have Vivacious in the chat. How are you doing tonight, my friend? It's Adam Delbecchi coming through the final chicane and nails it. Over a second up on their time. This will jump them up to P2, I believe. Just 2/10 off provisional pole, as we have... who was that who just crossed? I believe that was Ricky Scott who just crossed, and they're currently sitting P2, overtaking Adam Delbecchi. Just 1/10 off of Jack Thompson. Jack Thompson taking the top of the charts with a 156.192. There's still, I believe, a couple drivers, not a couple, but 1 or 2 drivers still on track. So he could get dethroned by Adam Delbecchi. Delbecchi needing to improve by about just under 3/10 to take that pole position for Split 2 GT4. Oh no. Gotta work late again? Feels bad. As we see the GT4 Split 1 drivers, they're on the track as we speak on their outlap, and they'll be starting their qualifying session. They'll have 6 minutes to set their lap, just like the Split 2 drivers did. As it looks like the 28 car, I believe that is Ed Kerstetter, is the first one out of the gates for the Split 1 drivers. Right now, we have Adam Delbecke. Looks like they're going to be taking provisional pole and pole position for Split 2 as they cross the line with a 155.415 and taken pole position by over 7/10. Scorcher of a lap from Adam Delbecke. As we will jump on board with Ed Kerstetter, as Kerstetter just started their first lap of the session. As we'll go through our Split 2 starting order real quick, we got Adam Delbecke P1, Jack Thompson in P2, Ricky Scott P3, Gabe Carness in P4, Andy Oak P5, P6 you got Daniel Versosa, Adam Pulaski to follow, Matthew Hayton 8th, Rogero Seleghini in 9th, Hayden Gabor in 10th, and yeah, those are your top 10 drivers. Well, I guess the only drivers for GT4 Split 2. We'll see what these Split 1 drivers have to say. As we have Ed Kerstetter in the Aston Martin. That Maserati just wasn't working out for him, and I don't blame him. Maserati is a hard car. No traction control, no ABS. He's gotten to something a little more forgiving, let's say. As the Aston Martin has traction control and ABS. As he had a real tough time at Monza last week in the rain. Let's see where Ed Kerstetter's going to cross the line at. He's going to start from P35th, his first flyer. It's going to end him up in P2 with a 155.462, about half a tenth behind Delbecke. But then you got Diego Mastachero with a 155.347 taking provisional pole. You have the 82 car of Jason Provolone with a 155.532. We have the 74 car of Mike Burkhoff, P7 with a 155.970. The 14 car of Andreas Mastachero with a 155.567, currently sitting P6. You have the 30 car of Ollie Raza taking provisional pole with a 154.380. Peter Hutchings follows closely behind with a 154.582. As we have the number 18 car of... who is that? That's Justin Beachley starting their first flyer. The 67 car, I don't think has set a lap yet. That's Jose Bravo, and they did with a 157.387. Currently setting P16. Behind them, you got the 263 car of Ricardo Sapien with a 156.257. Currently sitting P11. Got the 4 car of Peter Hutchings. We went through Peter Hutchings already. And then we got the 42 car of, I believe that is Professor Chronotis? Is that Chronotis? It is Chronotis, who is yet to set a lap. As Ed Kerstetter is he's coming through the final chicane now, but currently with an invalid lap. Got the 27 car. Who is the 27 car? Why don't I see the 27 car on my charts here? Unless they have not set a lap yet, which is understandable. It is, and it was Riley Manier. And they have not set a lap yet. As, let's see. As the GT3 drivers start to leave the pits now at the 7-minute mark. They'll have 7 minutes to set a good lap in, and they'll be the ones to finish it off. As we still got a couple GT4 drivers finishing their flyers. Now, even though the GT3s are quicker, they cannot overtake the GT4s that are on valid laps. But in fairness, if the GT4 is not on a valid lap, they should probably get off the track, but I don't think any of them are. As Diego Mostachero bails off his lap. As we have Ed Kerstetter and Riley Manier on the track right now. I believe those are the last two drivers for the GT4 field. See if either of these drivers can take pole position, provisional pole, or is Ollie Raza gonna take pole position for the split one drivers with a 154.232? As these two drivers are coming around the final chicane as we speak, we'll see where they end up. Ed Kerstetter currently 7/10 up on their time. It's not going to be quite enough to take pole position, as he's going to cross the line in P4, the 154.772, and we got the 27 car of Riley Manier taking pole position at last second with a 153.912. What a banger of a lap from him. As the GT3 drivers start to take the field for theirs. What was I saying? So GT3 field comes out. The GT4 split one drivers finish their qualifying session. Taking pole position for them, you got Riley Manier with a 153.912. In P2, you got Ollie Raza. P3, you got Peter Hutchings in that Protocharge Sim Sport Janetta. P4, you got Diego Mostachero. P5, you got Ed Kerstetter. P6, you got Andreas Mostachero. P7, you got Ricardo Sapien. P8, you got Jason Provolone. P10, you got Jarek Snyder. 11, you got Mike Burkhoff. Justin Beachley in P12. And Jose Bravo, P13. And Professor Chronotis did not set a lap, so he's sitting P14, and Polgarin went out at the wrong time, so they got DSQ'd from qualifying. They'll be starting at the back of the field, so it will be a recovery drive for them. As we see, I believe it's the 133 car of Alejandro Aguilar on their first flyer of the session in that 133 GTR Gaborski. If you ever copy a friend's settings, always double check ABS and TC. Slammed into the wall of my outlap. Ow, that hurts. As Aguilar sets the bar with a 145.942, quickly dethroned by Kanapin with a 144.322. Rivera with a 144.985. You have Rogero Santos coming across the line with a 145.987. Puts him up to P4. As we have the 21 car about to cross the line. That's Mr. Cura in that 21 Lexus. Joaquin, I believe it is. I always butcher the name. But currently sitting P7 with a 147.012. You have Juan Queiroz, or Queiroz, in the 16 Ferrari with a 145.065, up in P3 right now. Matt Artem in P4. And that's it for the GT3 drivers right now, as a couple more drivers are about to cross the line. We got the 99 car of Renato Ferreira with the Rabbit Racing BMW. Then behind them, you got the 413 car of Kevin Braun. As Ferreira crossed the line with a 147.922, pumping up to P8. Kevin Braun's about to cross the line. We'll see where they end up. up to P7 with a 146.7. The 177 of Rogério Santos. Currently sitting P6, but 3/10 up on their Delta. This will bump them up to P4. No, it wouldn't. It's still P5, just not enough. Let's see. As Knappen still on pole. Provisional pole. With Ricardo Rivera close behind. Just a 10th behind. Let's see. We got Eric Kakassian jumping into P9 with a 147.425 in that Trackilicious Lamborghini. Big B Gaming and Just Jags. How are you two doing tonight? We got some Ricky Scott fans in the chats. As we got the 99 car of Renato Ferreira. Currently over a second up on their time. If they nail the chicane, this could be a very good lap, as they'll have one more shot once they cross the line. So jump them up to P7. Scorcher of a lap from him. The 146.360. As we got the 177 car of Rogério Santos. Coming through the final chicane as we speak. Looks like they're about 2/10 up on their Delta. See if they're able to improve as max wait time is underway. Let's see. He's able to improve his time, but not able to jump up anywhere, as the 40 car of Brian Knappen improves with a 144.212, still in that pole position. Provisional pole as Ricardo Rivera crosses the line. In P3 as they get dethroned by Nate Lamlin. Nate Lamlin comes across the line with a 144.395. Currently sitting P2 as have a couple more drivers to come across the line. Let's see, I believe the 99 car is the last one to cross the line. As Ferreira, currently sitting P10. Let's see where they cross the line. As once Ferreira crossed the line, we will jump up to the race session. Yeah, hopefully that happens. Ooh, and there's a bit of an oversteer moment there from Renato, and they're unable to improve. And they're going to start the race in P10. As you have your pole setter, Brian Knappen. Alright, we have just under 3 minutes before we get this 60-minute race here at Barcelona underway. We got Brian Knappen taking pole position. Alongside him, Nate Lamlin with the NML Racing BMW. In the second row, you got Ricardo Rivera and Juan Carez. In P5 and 6, you got Gage Gonzalez and Matt Artem. Rogério Santos in P7. Alejandro Aguilar in P8. Joaquin Cura in P9. And Renato Ferreira rounded at your top 10. P11, you got Shane Rees. P12, you got Kevin Braun, and P13, you have Eric Kakassian. Taking pole position for your GT4 Split 1 drivers, you got Riley Manier in that 27 Porsche. Alongside him, you got Ali Raza, followed by Peter Hutchings and Diego Mostachero in the second row. In P5, you got Ed Kerstetter, Andreas Mostachero in P6, and Ricardo Sapien in P7. Your GT4 Split 2 pole setter is Adam Delbecki. as we have Provolone. I believe it's P8. Yep, Jason Provolone in P8 for split 1. Jarek Snyder P9. Mike Burkhoff P10. Justin Beachley P11. Jose Bravo P12. And Professor Chronotis P13. And Polgarin P14. We already covered your pole setter for split 2. That's Adam Delbecke. In P2, you got Jack Thompson. P3, you got Ricky Scott. P4, Gabe Carnes. Andy Oak in P5. Daniel Versosa in P6. Adam Pulaski in P7. Matthew Haight in P8. Rogero Salagini in P9. Hayden Gibor in P10. Professor Chronotis, wrong class, but Santiago Orozco in P11, and that rounds out your field. It's currently 7 a.m. on track with 21 degrees on the track and 21 degrees ambient. Looks like a little overcast, 20% chance of rain. So it's not likely to rain, but it is possible. So you're probably thinking to yourself, hey, why does my favorite driver have a box with a 1 inside of it on the left side of the screen beside their number? Well, that means that throughout the course of the race, you need to serve 1 mandatory pit stop. Now, what does that mean? So that means you need to pit at least once, and this pit stop requires you to take a set of tires. Fuel is optional, but tires are required. Once you change your tires, once you get that pit stop done, your yellow box with the 1 will turn green, and that means you are good to go until the end of the race, until the checkered flag. There is no pit window, so you could pit lap 1, you could pit the final lap. As long as you get that pit stop in before the checkered flag, you will not get penalized. Speaking of penalties, we have no penalties to be served tonight here at Barcelona. You'll love to see it. But you just got to make sure you're not out of position, otherwise you might get a drive-through off of the race start, and that will definitely dampen your chances of winning this race. So we have Barcelona, a very long straight going into turn 1. So a good start here is crucial. If Knapin can get a good start, he might be able to pull away from the BMWs a little bit. The only saving grace for the BMWs, I actually don't know the top speed of the Lambo. I think it's pretty good, but the BMWs are going to have the slipstream, so that will definitely help them out. But Knapin's going to have the inside line going into Elf, which is turn 1 and 2. As we have the 77 car going to be starting from the pits, and that is Tanner Masters in that Rocket Racing 77 Audi. And Tanner Masters, being a GT3 driver, could get caught up in some GT4 traffic early on. But it is a 60-minute race, so you don't have to win it in turn 1, but you can definitely lose it in turn 1. So hopefully we get a clean start, and hopefully we have a relatively clean race. As these drivers are lining up in double file as they make their way around the chicane. As they come around the final turn now, down the main straight, as they're just waiting for the green flag, waiting for the race director to see what they like, and they will wave the green flag and our race will be underway as we are green, and we have the 89 car and the 44 car getting drive-thrus off the start, as we were talking about earlier. It's Brian Knappen. Looks like they get a good start going into T1. As it looks like we have a relatively clean turn 1, which you love to see. But let's see who those drive-thrus were. Ooh, and there's the 414 car. That is Matt Artem, if I can hit their name. They were off. That is a GT3 driver, and that's Gibor with a drive-thru, and who else? And Polgarin with a drive-thru. As we got Knappen with a good start, leading these two BMWs. And as for the GT4 fields, let's see what we got. We got Riley Manier leading the GT4 field at the moment, followed by Peter Hutchings and Ollie Raza. Notice there's some debris being flung around the track. As we got Eric Kukasian and Kevin Braun, they were going side by side for a little bit there. So make their way around that long right-hander. We'll see if Kevin Braun is bold enough to do anything through the chicane, and he's just going to slot in behind Kukasian for now. So we got Riley Manier being trailed by Ollie Raza, Peter Hutchings, and Ed Kerstetter. So we'll pull the relative up. That'll probably help you guys a little bit. Let's see. We got Adam Delbecki and Jarek Snyder. Snyder's going to get the slipstream going down this main straight. We'll see if he has a good enough toe to make a move into turn 1. And it doesn't... Oh, it looks like he might try to make the move. He's got the inside line. They give each other plenty of space. They keep it clean, and Delbecki is able to park his car perfectly where he needs it and stays ahead for now. As we will jump back to P1, as we have Knappen already has just over a second gap on Nate Lamlin, and Nate Lamlin is about half a tenth to the rear behind. As we got Joaquin Cura and Shane Rees going side by side. Let's see if maybe a little bit of tap. Don't know if there was a tap there or not, but Shane Rees gets by Cura, bumping Shane Rees up to P9. As we got the two Mastachero brothers battling it out for P17 and P18 right now. Ooh, and a little bit of a tap for Jason Provolone and Matt Artem, and Jose Bravo wants to get involved in this action. A little bit of a tap, but nothing gained, nothing lost, as Jason Provolone has to take the defensive line. As Matt Artem goes by, a GT3 driver. As we got Kukasian and Braun going at it again. See if Braun's able to get anything done down this main straight with the slipstream. Doesn't look like the top speed of that Aston is helping Mr. Yogi with any favors there. As we got Manier and Raza coming down the main straight. They're bumper to bumper. Manier's taking the defensive line early. As Raza's side by side, it looks like Raza may have made the move stick around the outside, but Manier is going to have the inside line, and Manier is going to be able to hold on to the lead for now. But one small slip up could give Raza the opportunity to pounce. As we got Aguilar and Ferreira. We got Cura and Kukasian. Cura gets by Kukasian as Kukasian backs out a little bit. As Cura leads Eric and Kevin Braun. A second between these three drivers. As we got Sapien and Burkhoff going at it. So we drop down to P31. We got Orozco, Thompson, and Beachley all within a second of each other. With a grid of 39 drivers. I would say these opening laps have been pretty clean. There was a little bit of yellow, but it has been fairly clean as Pulaski goes wide and Gabe Carness is going to get by. And it looks like Haight is going to try to follow through, but it looks like they're going to get caught up, and Haight spins Pulaski, and Pulaski's facing the wrong way. Hopefully a safe rejoin. Looks like they're waiting, and looks like they're going to make the rejoin safe. But you hate to see it, as we were just tried to follow him through, but didn't pan out for him. As we got Delbecki and Carness going side by side. And the 89 car gets disqualified. That is Hayden Gibor for a drive-through off of the start, which they failed to serve. So hopefully they can get that disqualification removed, but that will set them behind a little bit. As we get a 30-second stop go for car 444 for speeding in the pit lane. And that is Alejandro Pulgarin. That is unfortunate, as we got Chronotis and Matthew Haight going at it. Matthew Haight making that Camaro as wide as humanly possible, staying out in front. We'll see if Chronotis can get anything done here. Going down this straight. Doesn't look like he's going to make that happen. As we'll jump on board with Kukassian and Baran. These two still bumper to bumper. Looks like Baran doesn't have an answer for the Lamborghini. As we got Nate Lamlin and Ricardo Rivera, only 0.3 between each other, with Gonzalez lurking in the distance. Let's make their way around this right-hander and towards the chicane, and it looks like Rivera clipped the sand a little bit. Maybe slowed them down slightly, but doesn't look like that slowed them down too much as they come around the final turn now. Knappen pulling ahead while these drivers are going to be starting to fight for position. And is Rivera going to make the move? And he's not. He's not going to have the good enough toe to make the move. It's going to slot in behind Lamlin as we got Kukassian and Baran going side by side down the main straight. Looks like Baran might have Kukassian here. We'll see if Eric can break late, and he doesn't, as Baran is going to make the move stick. And Baran is going to jump up to that final position of the top 10. See if Eric has an answer for that move made by Braun. As we got Carness and Delbecki within 0.6 of each other, and it looks like there's Chronotis and Haight going at it. As Haight is going to have to misses the chicane, drives through it, and loses out 2 positions to Cronotis and Thompson because of it, as we got Raza and Tanner Masters going side by side. Looks like Masters is able to stay ahead slightly. You got this train of 4 drivers. You have Riley Manier, your leading GT4 car, letting the 77 Audi go by, the GT3 driver, as not to impose each other, and that's going to give him a little bit of a slipstream, as Manier is your GT4 leader, followed by Ollie Raza in P2, Peter Hutchings in P3, and yeah, just those 3 drivers in that train, as we got Beachley and Haight going at it. As we got Vacant Crayfish 5. How are you doing tonight? Still got Beachley leading Haight. As we got Orozco and Versosa. But Orozco right on the tail of Jarek Snyder. See if Orozco has any answers going around that fast right-hander and down the straight. Doesn't look like the toe is going to be strong enough for Orozco or Versosa. And they're going to stay in the same positions for now. As we have... I wonder what happened to Nate Lamlin. Lamlin dropped down to P5. Don't know what happened there. But we got Ferreira and Aguilar. And Santos feels like they wanted to join in on the action, as we get a 3-way battle for P6. As Ferreira's got the inside line going into the chicane. And Aguilar is going to slot in behind him. This train of 4 drivers. You got Ferreira, Aguilar, Santos, and Rees. As you see the back marker of Andy Oak, the GT4 car, coming down the main straights. As we see Juan Carez getting a little bit of a bump from the Celaghini, the GT4. A little bump in between them, but it's not going to lose out at all to Lamlin's. And Lamlin is right on the bumper of Carez, or Carez. So we got Cronotis and Thompson, and looks like they were getting a little close to one another in the timing chart, as Cronotis is leading about by half a tenth. As we can see the race leader in the distance, Brian Knappen in that Lamborghini, running into some GT4 traffic already, not even 15 minutes into the race so far. As one of the GT4 drivers runs wide, and Knappen's going to get by Snyder, no problems. Aguilar and Santos. It looks like Santos might try to make a move on the inside, and he thinks better of it, as the GT4 car of Celaghini just wants no part of this battle, as they're a GT4 driver, gets out of the way. So right now the temperature has rose by 1 degree, both ambient and on the track. Currently at optimum grip, and no rain in the forecast for the next at least 15 minutes. As we got Carez and Lamlin. They're going to make it around... Ooh. But the Orozco gets caught up in this fight. Could have costed Carez if he wasn't careful, but he stays ahead of Lamlin, but Lamlin still close on the bumper. Not giving Carez some breathing room, as ooh, it looks like he's going to make an aggressive move on Jarek Snyder. As Jarek Snyder has to take a little bit of an outside line. This traffic could play into Lamlin's favor, depending where they get caught up in it. As we'll jump back on board with some GT4 traffic or GT4 action. We got Ollie Raza and Peter Hutchings going at it. See if Peter Hutchings can make anything happen going down this main straight. Raza and Hutchings about the same time that lap. Couple hundredths off of pace as we see Kerstetter. No, we don't. We see Hutchings still on the hunt for Ollie Raza. And Raza sees Munir slightly ahead. We'll see what kind of action we got. We got Lamlin and Karras still going at it. And Beachley, or that's Thompson, sorry, almost got sandwiched by some GT3 drivers there. As they go 3 wide slightly down the main straight as Lamlin gets by Karras because of it. That GT4 traffic actually goes in favor of Nate Lamlin. Nate Lamlin jumping up to P4. As Juan drops down to P5 because of it. He's not going to be happy about that, but mixed class, multi-class racing, it does that to you. You get caught up in some traffic and gets shafted. As we got Raza still being hunted down by Peter Hutchings, but still trying to hunt down Riley Munir. Strain of Hutchings getting a little close to Raza there. So these 3 drivers starting to pull away from the pack a little bit. As between Hutchings and Kerstetter, you have about 5 seconds. As we got Lamlin and Karras again, still going at it, just in a slightly different order. To make the way through the chicane. Let's see if that Ferrari can get past this BMW going down the main straight with the help of the slipstream. We'll see if Karras gets a bit of a tow here. Let's see if it's good enough to make a move happen in the turn 1. Looks like he might try to make the move, but he thinks better of it, and he's just making his presence known to Lamlin, letting him know that he's there, and one small mistake could mean the position. As we got Diego Mastachero and Mike Burkhoff going at it down here in the GT4 fields. Your race leader, Brian Knappen, currently sitting P1 with a 3.3 second gap to Rivera behind. Rivera getting caught up with Sappi in there. But Rivera has a 3 second gap to Gonzalez. Gonzalez has about 4.5 seconds to Lamlin behind. And Lamlin has about just under a second to Karras. But Karras getting caught into some GT4 traffic, slowing them down as we got Munir and Raza going at it down the main straight. Munir's going to have to take the defensive line as these drivers are going to do some bumping going down the main straight. And it looks like Munir doesn't back down as they're going to go side by side. But it looks like Raza tried to make his way through, but Munir's going to have the inside line going around this long right-hander. And Munir is going to hold on for now, but Raza right on the wing. Raza making a move down the inside of this hairpin. Munir taking the outside line. Oh, and a bump and sends Raza into the wall. Doesn't look like it was a very hard shunt, but the 2 drivers collide. And that is going to give That's going to drop Raza down to P3 and bring Peter Hutchings up to P2. A very unfortunate event there. As we got Aguilar making the defensive line on Shane Rees, forcing Rees to go down the outside line as the GT4 car is on the inside of these drivers. Looks like that's Ricky Scott, and Ricky Scott's going to let him by with no problems as Diego Mostachero is under attack from Mike Burkhoff, but Gage Gonzalez, the GT3 driver, needs to get by these two. Looks like he's going to make that happen with no problems. But it looks like that might... see if that has to play at all. As we got Scott and Sapien. Sapien's going to slot in behind Ricky Scott for now. As we are just over a third of our way into this 60-minute race. Ooh, and Sapien makes a move on the inside there, and he's going to take the position as Eric Gukassian is getting caught up behind this GT4 going through the chicane, but Sapien's going to overshoot the chicane a little bit, as it looks like that GT4 driver is going to be pitting. I believe that's Ricky Scott, as we got Gukassian and Santos coming down the main straight. Looks like Santos is going to slot in behind Gukassian and isn't going to make the move happen. Looked like Eric was thinking about taking the defensive line, but may have not had the space to do so. Luckily, Santos doesn't send it, and Eric is able to hold on to the position for now, and Santos is going to slot in behind and is going to have to wait to make a move, as we got Diego Mostachero and Mike Burkhoff still going at it here for P17 or 18 and 19, sorry. A little bit of space between them and the next GT3 drivers behind, and that is Aguilar and Shane Rees. As we got Thorsert4 in the chat, another Ricky Scott fan. Seems like he is the fan favorite tonight, as we got Santos getting by Gukassian. Ooh, as there is a yellow flag for the 21 car of Joaquin Cura. Looks like maybe a little bit of damage on that Lexus. So we got Mostachero and Burkhoff still fighting it out for P18 and 19. Mostachero putting that McLaren exactly where he needs to be, but he's going to run it wide a little bit, and that might give Burkhoff the opportunity to pounce on the inside, which Burkhoff doesn't think about it, and he just slots in behind Mostachero for now. As a lot of these drivers have yet to make their mandatory pit stop yet. Looks like the 21 car is in the pit stop as we speak. I believe that is Joaquin Cura in that 21 Lexus, as Mostachero is going to go side by side with Aguilar, and oh! And that the Audi of Shane Rees, I believe, sent the 74 car of Mike Burkhoff into the wall. Oh no. That is unfortunate. You hate to see it, folks. That looked brutal from our end. There's a little bit of impatience and unlucky comes out for Shane Rees, but I would say that would probably might be a penalty, or at least a protest in the future. As we got Matt Artem, and Andy Oak down here in P33 and P34. Artem has made their mandatory pit stop. You got Kevin Braun in P11 right now, has made their mandatory pit stop. Let's see what kind of battle we got going on the track right now. It doesn't look like anybody's too close at the moment. The closest track on track we got right now is Orozco and Pulaski for P31 and P32. As I say that, somebody drops behind them as they jump up to P30 and 31. As it looks like there is a yellow flag in Sector 2 for the 28 car. I believe that is Riley Manier. No, it's not. Riley Manier is 27. Who's the 28? Ed Kerstetter is the 28 car. As Pulaski was making a move on the inside, forcing Orozco to go wide, and Orozco gets a tiny bit of oversteer there. Ooh, and a little bit of a bump, but they're going to keep it clean. As Orozco is going to stay ahead, and Haight slotted in between them, but drops the position to Pulaski, and Haight didn't seem like they wanted too much of that battle there. As we got Gukasian and Santos going side by side down the main straight. Santos and Gukasian. It looks like Eric is going to make the move on the outside, and looks like he's able to make it stick. Great move from Mr. Gukasian there. Mr. Trackilicious himself. As he jumps up to P8 and drops Santos down to P9. As we got Snyder and Chronotis, the T-Swizzle Mercedes coming down the main straight. They're teammates, so they might not want to make anything too bold, but they're still racing. As it looks like Snyder's able to stay ahead for now. As it looks like Chronotis might try to get a better exit coming out of this long right-hander. See what happens. Looks like nothing's going to happen there, as we got Pulaski and Haight going at it. That's Kevin Braun in front, a GT3 driver. Kevin Braun currently sitting P10, but has completed their mandatory pit stop. So we got Burkhoff getting by Bravo. Just a quick thank you to everyone for hanging out here with us at Trackilicious on this Thursday evening. Perfect way to unwind is some hot action on the track. And some hot multi-class action at that. Always spices it up a little bit when traffic comes into play, as we got Manier and Masters, but Masters is a GT3 driver, so he should get by with no problems. Looks like that's going to be the case, as we have Burkhoff and Bravo still going at it. A little bit of a gap between the two of them. As Masters gets by Manier, no problem. And Masters gets by Selaghini. As we reach the halfway point in this race, we might see a few more drivers start to make their mandatory pit stop. Really, Gaborski? Because it should be an open pit, like no pit window. Because we have a couple drivers who have pitted already. But they do require you to have a mandatory tire change. Ah, gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, but the mandatory pit stop, you do not need fuel, but you do need to take a set of fresh tires. So at least 30 seconds in the pits. As we got Burkhoff and Versosa getting close to one another. Why did my music just... Jesus, I hate Twitch sometimes. I don't know why, but the audio for the stream jumped on, and I'm not even on the Chrome tab. But I love it. As... you started the race above... Oh, yeah, you got a drive-through for being out of position on race start, which is very unfortunate. You weren't the only one, though. I'm pretty sure Polgarian got one as well. And dead last... I do not see a raid, unfortunately. So I don't think it went through, but... How are you doing tonight? We appreciate the thought. Oh, yeah, and you didn't serve it. Right, right. Sorry to hear that, man. I'm glad to hear it dead last, and hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening. Oh, you're not going. That sounds good. I misinterpreted that. You'll get us with the raid next time. That is not what went through my head. But alright, no worries. We'll see you in a few. As right now we got... Let's see, we got Jack Thompson and Justin Beachley. About a second between the two of them. As they make their way down the main straight. Ooh. And the number 4 car of Peter Hutchings gets a drive-through for speeding in the pit lane. And I believe that was P3 or P4 for the GT4 Split 1 field. Getting a drive-through. Very unfortunate. As Versosa and Bravo, about 3/10 between them. Bravo was thinking about the move, but decides not to, and just slots in behind Versosa. Bravo's going to run a little wide. As we got Kerstetter getting by Pulaski. Pulaski is yet to make the mandatory pit stop. So we got Snyder and Sapien. Gets caught up with Adam Delbecke just coming fresh out of the pits. And the number 9 car of... Who is that? That is Gabe Carness. A stop-go 30 for speeding in the pit lane. But at least, yeah, if you're Pete Hutchings, at least you didn't get a stop-go and just a drive-through. But that is very unfortunate for those two drivers. As we got Delbecke and Sapien still going at it, getting caught up in some GT3 traffic. Might give Sapien a little bit of an opportunity. Alright, we'll jump back on board with Ollie Raza, who's being hunted down by Justin Beachley. Beachley has yet to pit though, so Raza has a pretty big advantage on him right now. As we got Karras and Lamlin going at it, coming down the main straight. Karras forced to take a defensive line and see if Lamlin will try to make a move on the outside. And it looks like Lamlin will. Are they going to make the move stick? Doesn't look like they're going to make it stick as Karras challenging him on the inside. As these drivers go side by side down this long right-hander, they're still side by side. As it looks like Karras slots in behind Lamlin, but Lamlin's still on the outside. Karras still on the inside. These drivers still side by side, but Karras is going to slot in behind Lamlin as they'll get caught up in some GT4 traffic there as Lamlin takes P5. Very clean racing from these two drivers, giving each other enough room to race, enough room to battle it out. That's what you love to see, as Karras is going to run wide and he's going to lose some time because of it. So that sand does quite a number on your exit speed. But Karras is not out of it yet, as the stop go for the number 9 car is served. These two drivers still going at it for P5. Looks like Lamlin gets a good exit out of that final corner, and then Karras is going to have the slipstream, but it's going to be too far behind to make a move. To get close enough to make a move. As we'll jump back on board with Adam Delbecke and Ricardo Sapien. Both of these drivers have completed their mandatory pit stop, so they are good to go for the green flag. A little bit of a gap between them as we got Diego Mastachero getting by Jack Thompson. But Delbecke and Sapien still going at it. As Karras gets by Lamlin, it looks like Lamlin may have made a mistake or may have gotten caught up behind that Ginetta of Peter Hutchings. He's going to lose out to Karras, and Karras is going to take that position back. He's going to take P5 back from Lamlin. As we got Sapien and Delbecke. Looks like Sapien was able to get by. See if Delbecke has an answer. as we have just entered the 2/3 mark of this 60-minute race here at Barcelona. Round 4 for your Trackilicious GT3 GT4 Mixed Championship of Summer 2022. Under 20 minutes to go. A couple of these drivers have yet to pit, as we see Shane Rees and Jack Thompson in the pit lane. And Cronotis and Beachley still need to pit. And I believe those are maybe the last 4 drivers that need to pit. As we got Sapien and Delbecki still going at it. Looks like Delbecki might try to make a move on the inside here. And he's not going to. He's going to slot in behind Sapien for now. As Kevin Braun, that 413 Aston Martin, comes through and Delbecki lets him go by, no problems. And he's going to make a move on the inside. Sapien's going to slot in behind Braun for now. As Braun gets by these drivers with no problems. Welcome back, dead last. Still got Juan and Nate going at it for P4 and P5. As we got Professor Cronotis in the pits, making their mandatory pit stop. See if the overcut plays into his hands. As it looks like we're going to have optimum conditions for the rest of the race. With under 18 minutes to go, we have Brian Knappen, your race leader. Ricardo Rivera in P2, just a second behind. And Gage Gonzalez in P3. Let's see, I believe we have Riley Manier leading the GT4 Split 1 drivers, followed by Ollie Raza and Justin Beachley in P3, but Beachley has yet to pit. For the Split 2 drivers, I believe, do we have, I think it might be Adam Delbecki leading, with Ricky Scott in P2, and looks like maybe Daniel Versosa in P3. As we got Karras and Lamlin still going at it. And Matthew Haight and Pulaski going at it. Looks like Pulaski makes a move on the inside, and it looks like he may have touched. And that could have been bad, as Haight and Pulaski almost take each other out. As Pulaski's going down the inside. A little bit of bumping between these two drivers. They're going to keep it clean. And Pulaski is going to... Ooh, a late move from Haight. But Haight is going to get by Pulaski. But Pulaski's still on the inside. Some close racing between these two drivers. It looks like Pulaski is going to be ahead for now. Oh, and Haight tries to make a late move on Pulaski and ends up taking each other out. Pulaski's going to get quite the gap on Haight, as Haight is going to drop down a little bit from that move. As that battle is over for now, as we still got Karras and Lamlin going at it. Yeah, the Camaros sure are screaming America. As Karras is about to catch up to Diego Mostachero. As Mostachero hops out of the way, wants no part of this GT3 battle. But Lamlin's going to get caught behind him and is going to lose out a bit of time. Gonna give him over a second gap to Lamlin behind. Lamlin's still trying to get by Mostachero, and he does. Ed Kerstetter gets a drive-through for track limits. You hate to see it. With just under 15 minutes to go. As Keres gets by Andreas Mostachero. Right now, Nate Lamlin in a Mostachero sandwich, but Diego is slightly further behind. Jump on board with Jose Bravo and Daniel Versosa. These two are bumper to bumper right now for P27 and P28. Ooh, as they're going to go side by side through the chicane. But Bravo is able to hold on for now. Let's see if Versosa gets a better exit, and with the help of the slipstream, let's see if he can make a move into turn 1 as they come down the main straight. Doesn't look like it's going to be enough as Tanner Masters comes through and gets by with no problems. Tanner Masters, of course, a GT3 driver. As 414 car gets a drive-through for track limits, and that is the 414 of Matt Artem. Matt Artem currently sitting P12. Ooh, well, looks like there may have been a little bit of oversteer from Adam Delbecke there, but stays on the bumper of Sapien. And they're going to go side by side. But Sapien's going to hold on to position for now. As right now this is the closest battle on track. So come down the main straight. Delbecke may have the better exit here, and with the help of the slipstream, Sapien might be in a little bit of trouble going into T1 as they're going to go side by side. Let's see who's going to come out ahead coming through turn 1. It looks like Delbecke is going to come out ahead and Sapien is going to slot in behind. Oh, big spin from Delbecke. Big oversteer moment. He catches it, but that's going to let Sapien go by, and that's going to let Burkhoff open the door for Mike Burkhoff. Right now, your race leader, Brian Knappen, currently 4.7 seconds up on Ricardo Rivera, who's in P2, and Ricardo Rivera has about 17.5 seconds, 18.5 seconds to to Gage Gonzalez behind. Gage Gonzalez currently P3. Your race leader currently has the fastest lap with a 1:44.382. As it's almost like Sapien saw that coming from Delbecke. So right now we got Chronotis and Beachley going at it. The race leader Brian Knappen getting in the way of these two as Chronotis slots in behind the Lamborghini and hoping to get a little bit of a slipstream from Beachley behind. So now we got Provolone and Peter Hutchins going at it. Looks like Hutch might make a move down the inside here, going into turn 1. Hutch getting that drive-through for speeding in the pit lane a little bit earlier on, and Hutch is going to make the move happen, as we got Burkhoff and Delbecki going at it now. It looks like Burkhoff was able to get by Delbecki. Ooh, and there's a car wide there. That is Sapien, and Sapien's actually going to lose out 2 positions because of it, as we got Burkhoff jumping up to P21, Delbecki in 22, and Sapien drops down to P23. And there is a large number of cars here. There is a total of 6 cars here, all different classes. There's 2 GT3s and 4 GT4s. This could prove to be catastrophic, as we see, I believe that it was Shyguy dipping their tires in the grass, or the sand. As the race leader, Knappen gets by Delbecki, no problems. Jump back on board with Orozco and Andy Oak. So we have less than 10 minutes to go in this 60-minute race around Barcelona. As it looks like Aguilar is going to make the move on the inside of Oak. And Aguilar is going to get by Orozco as well. Aguilar being a GT3 driver. As the field is relatively spread out right now, we got Artem in the pits for a drive-through penalty. Right now, Beachley is putting the pressure on Chronotis. We'll see if Chronotis cracks under the pressure or if he's able to hold on, as we got Orozco and Andy Oak going at it again. As they make their way through the final chicane. We'll see if that McLaren is the top speed and the slipstream to get by. As Santos comes through, the GT3 driver. And it looks like Orozco's forced to take the defensive line. As these 2 drivers going into turn 1 are going to be side by side. See if they keep it clean. These drivers give each other plenty of room, and Orozco is going to hold on to P30 for now. Because we still got Chronotis and Beachley going at it. Chronotis and Beachley getting caught up with Shyguy. Shyguy, another GT4 driver, but currently a lap down, as Gage Gonzalez is trying to make their way through this GT4 traffic. Might have to wait until after the chicane, but Beachley backs off a little early, and Gage Gonzalez is going to get through one of the drivers. Going down the main straight, Gonzalez is going to get by Chronotis, but that drops Justin Beachley back by a little bit, giving Chronotis some breathing room. As we got Orozco and Andy Oak going at it again. It looks like Orozco's got to take the defensive line. As Oak is going to try around the outside, but overshoots it by quite a bit. That's going to give Orozco a little bit of a gap. As we got Caress leading Nate Lamlin by a second. as we only have a couple more laps left in this race here. Just under 5 minutes to go. We probably have about 3 laps to go. We'll see if everyone has enough fuel to make it to the end. As we've seen in the past, some drivers don't take the right amount of fuel. Some drivers don't account for the formation lap, or don't account for the bonus lap, or don't account for either. So we'll see if how many of these drivers will cross the line, or if somebody will miscalculate and not cross the line. As we still have Cronotis and Beachley going at it. Ooh, looks like there may have been some contact between maybe Sapien and Karas, maybe? So that's going to relieve some of the pressure to Lamlin and Karas. As Karas is going to be over 2 seconds behind now, as we got the Mostachero brothers close to each other as they get by Orozco in that BMW. There's 2 Mostacheros in their 2 McLarens. The Spice Grills B team. I love it. So we're in the closing stages of this race. I'd like to thank everyone again for spending your night here with us at Trackilicious, watching round 4 of our summer 2022 GT3 GT4 Mixed Championship. Round 4 at Barcelona. Just 2.5 minutes left to go. Brian Knappen leads this race, about a 6.8 second gap to Ricardo Rivera. Ricardo Rivera has about a 23 second gap to Gage Gonzalez behind, and Gage Gonzalez is in P3. You got Nate Lamlin in P4. I somehow butcher that name all the time. And you got Juan Carres in P5. Right now you got Riley Manier leading the GT4 field, followed by Ali Raza in P2, and I believe that's Andreas Mostachero in P3. Who do we got for... I believe it's Adam Delbecki, P1 for Split 2, followed by... Ricky Scott in P2, and Daniel Versosa in P3. I believe that's how the grid is going right now, as we got Cronotis and Beachley getting close to one another again. As when Brian Knappen just making his way towards the chicane now, the final chicane that is. Once he crosses the line, he will be on the final lap of the race. As the leader starts the final lap of the race, as a couple of these GT4 drivers will get past, and their race will be over after their lap. But as for Cronotis and Beachley, doesn't look like the leader is going to catch up to them in time, as they're going to get one more lap. Beachley's going to get one more lap to try to get by Cronotis. And the Mostacheros, if they choose to battle it out, will have one more lap to fight it out between one another. As we got Orozco and Oak, they're on their final lap of the race right now. Ooh, a little bit of a oversteer there from Orozco. Might give Oak an opportunity to pounce. As the GT3 BMW of Rivera gets by these two drivers. Ooh, but Orozco forced wide. May have overshot it a little bit, but still ahead of Oak, as we still have the Mastachero brothers going at it. Professor Chronotis and Beachley are on their final lap as Brian Knappen comes around the final stretch now. It looks like the Mostacheros might get another lap in, as Matthew Haight calls it quits and doesn't pass, or lets Knappen pass before he crosses the line, ending his race as Brian Knappen crosses the line. In P1, Ricardo Rivera. In P2, Gage Gonzalez is making their way towards the final chicane as we speak. Gage Gonzalez gets through the chicane, coming around the final turn. Again, thank you, Twitch. Thank you, Twitch. I'm going to mute the site for now. As Gage Gonzalez crosses the line in P3, Nate Lamlin in P4, Juan Karras in P5. Alejandro Aguilar making his way towards the final chicane, but Kevin Braun close in tow. This could be a very close finish between these two drivers. See if Braun gets a better exit. Looks like Aguilar is going to cross the line in P6, Kevin Braun in P7, Rogero Santos in P8. So you got Shane Rees making his way towards through the final chicane now. As final right-hander, he's going to cross the line in P9. And Eric Akasian comes around the final right-hander as he's going to cross the line in P10, rounding out the top 10. And Tanner Masters crosses the line a little earlier on, P11 for him. Couple GT4 drivers to go, and we will get these final results all sorted out. It's the number 3 car on a flyer, or still on a live lap, and it looks like Orozco is going to be the final driver to cross the lap, or across the line, as we got the two Mostacheros coming across the line, and never mind, it was just the Mostacheros we were waiting on. And that is our 60-minute race. We have Knappen P1, Rivera P2, and Gage Gonzalez P3. GT4 Split 1, we got Manir, Raza, and Mostachero. In GT4 Split 2, we got Delbecki, Scott, and Versosa. Thanks everyone for tuning in to this 60-minute race here at Barcelona. We'll get some highlights loaded up here shortly and get some interviews going on between these drivers. Alright, we'll switch to the Be Right Back screen and I'll get these highlights loaded up.
Hey Reed, we got the gang here.
Alright, perfect. Well, great race, everybody. So we'll start with our race winner for the GT3 field, Mr. Brian Knappen. How are you doing tonight? Congratulations on the race win.
Yeah, thank you. Doing well, and I'd say this race was the most different. I've definitely missed, I think, at least one of the races, but this one, I'd say, was the one that I noticed the traffic playing the most influence on, your lap times.
Yeah, it seems like a couple drivers got caught up in some GT4 traffic, and especially at some points in the track where you can't really get by them, you just gotta kind of sit there and lose out on time. But anyways, it didn't seem like you got too held up, as it seemed like that was a fairly straightforward race coming from you. Would you say Barcelona is one of your stronger tracks, or do you think you just got very fortunate with traffic and you just had a really good race?
I kind of mentioned to some of my friends at the beginning that I think Barcelona is a track that a lot of the pace is influenced just based off of your knowledge of the track. There's a lot of little bits and pieces of knowledge that help you gain time here, and I'd say in terms of my familiarity with the track, I'd say it's pretty high. So I'd say I had that playing in my favor. It's definitely a track I'm much more comfortable with.
Glad to hear it. Alright, we'll jump down to Ricardo Rivera, P2 for GT3. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Uh,
About the race, I agreed with Hennepin. Sometimes I catch him up because of traffic, then sometimes he gets away, but overall I think his pace was faster. I was pushing mostly of my limit and got a some close calls with some GT4s and an unfortunate hit with Lamlen at the very beginning of the race. But this track overall, left tires gets pretty hot, and I think it's important to play a little bit of strategy on the when to pit, and also more with the GT4 cars in the track.
yeah, I guess that would have played into a bit of the pit stop strategy. Were you thinking of once you maybe hit traffic, that's when you would pit, or did you try to make it to at least the halfway mark, or what was your strategy going in through this race?
I put a little bit more fuel to run a little bit further than half of the race, and yeah, I basically pitted when I hit the second wave of heavy traffic. I know that Kenepen went for a few laps more, and it also paid good to him. I think we got the same gap that I had when I pitted when he got out of the pits a few laps later.
Alright. And now we got P3. We'll jump down to Gage Gonzalez. Well, congratulations.
Thank you, sir. It's kind of a boring race. The top two were pretty well gone towards the middle part of the race.
Yeah, they had quite a gap from the rest of the field, but it was like that with the GT4 field a little bit. How was the format for you, the 60-minute race? Do you like the 60-minute format, or would you rather the shorter races like the 30s and the 45s?
I like the longer races with some kind of pit requirement in it. It's not as boring as just a straight 60-minute. But I like the freedom to change tires whenever. Kind of opens it up a little bit instead of a pit window.
Yeah, as for the pit window, do you like that there is no pit window, or would you rather everyone have to pit within a certain amount of time?
I like no pit window because, like Ricardo said, you can time your pit off of where you're fighting in traffic.
Alright, and I guess we will jump down to the GT4 Split 2 winner, Riley Manier. Congratulations, Riley.
Split 1, but thank you.
Oh, did I say Split 2?
I think so, yes.
Oh, well, my bad. Well, Split 1. How are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. I'm very happy with the win. I thought I was speeding on pit entry, so I just like slammed on the brakes and went like 30 miles an hour for like 2 seconds, just trying to or it was like 30 kph maybe, just trying to keep it out of getting a penalty. And yeah, was able to hold it, and yeah, from there I just kind of pulled away. I saw that who was behind me?
I think it was Hutch.
Hutch, yeah. I saw he got a penalty, and so at that point I was just trying to stay ahead of Raza and run, because I knew he was fast. But the GT3 traffic was really difficult to manage. There were some GT3 drivers that were really impatient and just decided to pass through the third sector in the chicane, and it was really dangerous.
Yeah, I saw one particular moment. I'm not going to name any drivers, but a little bit of impatience from a GT3 driver, and unfortunately a GT4 driver got sent into the wall.
Yeah, basically I was just trying to stay alive. Like, as soon as I saw someone diving me, and it happened quite often, where it was just like they were a car length back and going down that back straight, and I'd brake at my normal braking point, they'd brake late, like thinking, oh, I'm gonna dive him, and they'd still go deep. So then I'd just try to do a switchback move, which luckily I didn't lose time, but I mean, they lost a lot of time doing a lot of that stuff, so not my problem, but whatever.
Yeah, hopefully some of them learn for the future races that a little patience can pay off sometimes.
Yeah, fingers crossed, we'll see.
All right.
Hopefully, by the time we get to, was it Bathurst? There's some people who learn their lessons about pushing a little too hard, especially through the mountain.
Yeah, that's going to be brutal, especially if some people try to send it through the mountain.
Oh, luckily we don't have Bathurst on this schedule.
Oh,
But Laguna is going to be interesting next
oh
week.
yeah, for sure,
So
for sure.
we'll see what happens.
And that leaves us with our final winner of the evening for GT4 Split 2. We have Mr. Adam Delbecke. Congratulations on the race win.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a good race. To be the opposite of what Brian said, I think I had like an hour of practice, and somehow race just worked out. Car felt good, and can't complain.
Yeah, how was traffic for you? Did you see any crazy GT3 drivers?
Like Riley was saying, you can if they were trying to pass in the last sector, I would just kind of stay away, be cautious. But sector 1 and 2 passing wasn't bad for me, and then pitting when you have the whole swarm of GT3 drivers is always my go-to. So I didn't get too much, at least.
It's always good to give a little bit of extra space when sometimes they're a little more unpredictable.
Yeah, for sure, and luckily I wasn't battling too many people, so I could save some time or be more cautious and not have to worry about losing a position.
For sure. And here at Barcelona, it seemed like you had a pretty convincing win from the other Split 2 drivers. Would you say Barcelona is one of your more favored tracks, or one of the tracks you're better at, or do you think you just got a little lucky with traffic?
I mean, I like it now. This was kind of my first time being on Barcelona and racing with Trackilicious with it, at least, and me and my other fellow Camaro buddy were going at it for the first half of the race, and he got a stop and go, so luckily I didn't have to keep battling him, and I had some free air, so yeah, definitely a favorite track from now on.
Yeah, well, congratulations again.
Thanks.
Yeah, and you're free to go whenever you want. Probably just close off the stream, and we'll have Mr. Eric find somebody to raid while I'm doing that.
I'm ready when you are, sir.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for spending your Thursday evening here with us at Trackilicious. We have Laguna Seca next week for the next week's races. And Yeah, I don't know the formats, but I believe it might be a 45-60. Or no, 45-30 or 30-45. I don't know. All I know is we're at Laguna Seca next. Thank you for everyone tuning in. We will throw it over to someone, and we will see you next week at Laguna. Thanks, everybody. Alright, so just let me know when I'm ready to end it, and I'll end it.
You, sir, are good to go.